Absentee meeting of the Board of Elections to order September 28th. I need to read a statement here. Beginning every Tuesday on the 5th Tuesday before Election Day, County Boards of Elections must hold a public meeting to review and act upon absentee ballots. This is our first meeting of 5. The public will be able to see and hear the proceedings in such a way that will not compromise the secrecy of any voter's ballot. The Board of Elections is responsible for maintaining control at its absentee board meetings. The board will not permit public comment while absentee ballots are being adjudicated or while ballots are being duplicated, sorted, or tabulated. The board will not permit questions from the public as the board approves absentee ballots. So as we go through this process, there'll be questions that we'll have. We will process those ballots without your interjections. We will have a public comment section to begin with. At that time, as unlike usually, if you interject thoughts through the process, public comments will be made at the opening session when we call for public comments. Beyond that, there will be no public comments to the board as a whole. You can speak to any of us, I'm sure. With that, we'll call this meeting to order and have a pledge of allegiance to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we'll move on down the agenda to approval of the agenda. Item number 2. Are there any additions or deletions or alterations to the agenda? Present those at this time.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add an item to the agenda, which is the continuation of the discussion we had yesterday relative to 2 resolutions which we were discussing. One that had been prepared by the director, and the other one which is a modeled after the resolution passed unanimously by the Wake County Board.
Okay. Got a request for addition to the agenda. What's the pleasure of the board? I guess that's the form of the motion. Is that your motion?
Yeah, I make a motion we modify the agenda to include that discussion. Yes.
Okay, we got a motion on the floor. Any discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and again, at this time, we'll take public comments about anything on the agenda or anything that you have. We'd like for you to speak into the microphone like I should have been doing, and we would like for you to hold your comments this time to 2.5 to 3 minutes. Okay, we'll be calling time, so let's take time. Well, anybody, we didn't ask for a list of speakers, but if anybody this time would like to speak, please step forward to the microphone, state your name, if you hold a position, and state your.
I'm Tom Sapp, chair of the Brunswick County Democratic Party. Just a few short comments. We have complete confidence in our board and our staff and what they're going to do today in counting these ballots. I want to urge you not to change anything as far as what the state has given you, not to try to improve on it in any way, shape, or form. As long as you work with the memo the state has put out, I think we'll be in good shape here. So that's really all I've got. Again, you have my complete confidence, our confidence.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else would like to speak at this time? This is public comment section. Again, this is your opportunity. If not, we will move on into the 4th item on the agenda, discussion of absentee meeting process, and we'll turn this over to the director.
So, good evening. Welcome, everyone. This might be the most people we've ever had on a board meeting before, so welcome. What we need to do first is outline what we're going to do with regards to the absentee ballot processing. As you know, we have a lot of ballots to consider tonight. We did discuss some during our meeting yesterday what that would look like. We did not end up making any decisions or doing anything with that. So what I want to talk a little bit about is some of the procedures outlined in number memo 2020-25. And what that does is outline how these board meetings will work. And so the first thing I think we should discuss is all of the ballots that are recommended for approval. So these are all ballots that the staff has reviewed multiple times to make sure that they meet the requirements of an absentee ballot. So the voter has signed, the witness has signed, the witness has printed their name, and the witness has provided an address that is contains enough information that we know where that voter resides. So of those, for civilians, there's a report in your packet. We have 7,387 absentee ballots that fall into that category. They're civilians, they meet all the qualifications, staff has reviewed them, and the numbered memo 2020-25 says that the county board can approve staff recommendation on that and spot check our work, essentially. So you could go look at some of the invoices. I wanted to know what the board's pleasure was with regards to proceeding with those approved envelopes. How does the board want to proceed with that process?
In our discussion yesterday, what directive did we give you regarding?
We did not get to this.
Okay, we gave you a directive to
Duplicate.
To duplicate the military overseas ballots,
Okay.
which were returned electronically, and we have done that.
We did not give you directions on processing.
No.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? Everybody, I guess everybody understands that we're talking about in the past, the board actually oversaw every single process. We're delegating this process for all practical purposes to the staff with oversight of the board.
Yes, and these are only the envelopes that are not pending cure, not spoiled, not anything amiss with them. We've reviewed them several times. So my recommendation, I would be comfortable with the board approving staff recommendation on those. Spot checking, I had put in my resolution I presented yesterday, and a minimum of 2. Each of you would pull 2 envelopes and make sure that they meet the qualifications. Of course, you could review all of them if you wanted to, but in the interest of time, I thought with those, the board may want to just proceed.
And we would be expected to randomly spot check the process. Okay.
I personally do not have any problem with us proceeding with the envelopes that you all have approved. We have never had an issue in the past with anything, and I don't think that as much as your due diligence has been in this situation, I have absolutely no reason not to accept the 7,300 envelopes that you all have labored over.
Motion.
That's a motion, yes.
Thank you.
I move that we accept them.
Okay. Staff process and any further discussion, if not.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman. While I echo Mrs. Willis's sentiments, and I do have total faith in the staff, I think we're in a very unusual time, and because of actions being taken outside of this body, that I am not comfortable relinquishing my right as a board member to examine any and all ballots should I choose. And some counties have taken a very proactive stance that they will, the board members will inspect every ballot that they have. Wake County is going through that as we speak on their 35 to 40,000 ballots that they have in hand today.
There's enough on there. Is now doing.
You're not confident that our oversight of this staff is adequate?
I am very comfortable with the oversight and the staff's performance, but I reserve the right as a board member to exercise my right to inspect any and all ballots as I so desire.
Okay, when we call for a vote, is it going to be another vote?
If we're specifically designating that we could pick 2 ballots, yes.
I don't think that Sarah said we would just pick 2. If you want to look at every one of them, I don't think she cares. She said a minimum of 2.
I just want to be assured that the language of our motion recognizes that we are not abrogating our responsibilities as board members.
Yes, sir. Mr. Lewis?
I think that we should follow the memo.
Number amendment 2025.
2025, and as it says on page 5, if there's any deficiencies, you must follow the true process in 2019. That's what I believe, and I think that we should follow it, because my understanding is that the law, we should follow the law and not deviate from it.
Okay.
I think there's going to be a lot of controversy about this election. And I think that the thing we want to do is be sure that we're in compliance with the law. The law changes next week, we'll do something else next week. Today, we want to follow the
Ed,
law.
I have to agree with you. We have to ensure that we are in compliance with the law. However, the problem is that memo 2025 is not law. Memo 2025 was issued by the state board in anticipation of the approval of the settlement of the Alliance case. That has not occurred yet. That will not occur until Friday at the absolute earliest.
But it's not true we're following the state recommended guidelines.
The state can recommend anything they want because that's the.
Are we following the state of North Carolina Board of Elections guidelines?
Legal guidelines, yes.
2025?
In my,
Is it proper for the board, is it proper for the chair to call for a question in our proceedings?
Yes? Yes.
All right, I call a question. All in favor, Mr. Chairman, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
no,
No. Let the record show that, motion passed 3-2. Okay, Madam Director.
What that process is going to look like, just so that you know why all of these people are up here. When we start reviewing those approved ballots, we've got a very nifty envelope opener that staff, a bipartisan team, is going to use. We're going to do them box by box. We've audited and know what each box has in it. We're going to bring those open envelopes down here. We have bipartisan teams down here, 2 of them. They'll review or remove ballots from the envelopes. Once all of the ballots from one single box are finished, they'll go over there to the other side from where I'm sitting, and that is where the scanner is, and we have a team over there that will scan those ballots. We'll do that box by box so that we can do audits throughout. Okay? Yes.
Madam Director, could you explain the process of the scanner?
The process of the scanner.
Is it tabulating ballots or is it?
It is not tabulating, it's only scanning and reading them in. We aren't doing any tabulation today. That happens on election day at our board meeting, which is at 5 o'clock.
The objective of that process of scanning is to do
It's a preparatory process so that we don't have to scan all of the ballots received on election day. So that election day, all we're doing is closing that machine and pulling the results.
So we're not tabulating them?
Not today.
We just don't print the results.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to make it clear to everybody exactly what we're doing, because we have some folks here that are not involved in the nitty-gritty of the process.
It also gives us an accurate count of that the number of ballots we received are actually the number of ballots that go into the machine. Because we get a count, just not tabulation as far as candidates.
I understand that. I'm asking the question for the edification of the folks in the room.
Okay, with no clarification, tabulation starts at the close of the polls on election day. Is that
It
correct?
actually begins at 5 o'clock on election day during a board meeting.
Okay. Everybody understanding that those results will be tabulated at 5 o'clock on election day?
On election day and released at 7:30.
Who will know those, who will know those results? Who will know those results at 5 o'clock?
The board,
Who besides the board?
the staff that's participating in the count.
Okay.
Question your definition of tabulation. It does tabulate them, it counts them. We simply don't print the results.
Right.
The results are in there and they're counted. We simply don't look at them.
Right.
Okay. Madam Director.
Okay, another part of the process we need to do tonight, yesterday, the board delegated authority for the staff, for me to oversee a bipartisan team to duplicate military overseas ballots. We have done that today. The board has to review every one of those to make sure that the counts on the duplicated ballot match the original ballot. So you're essentially checking that behind us. So we will do that. I'm envisioning that happening after we start the process of opening, just to keep the flow going. We also have For consideration, a group of pending ballots and a group of accepted cure ballots that returned a cure certification according to number memo 2020-19.
Can you tell us how we get these ballots?
We duplicate them because they come back electronically. They're returned usually by email, and so they print out on a regular size piece of paper, and they are official ballots that can be read by the machine, and that's so that we don't do any manual changes to the results. We need an actual ballot to read through. So in your packet, you see that we have 4 pending absentee ballots. I'm going to defer to Adrienne Rushton to explain those.
Thanks, Sarah. The 4 pending ballots were returned by family members that weren't listed as near relatives. So you all will be reviewing those, and I've also attached information from the state, guidance from the state on those as well.
Can you summarize that for us?
Absolutely. They were returned, 2 of them, there's 4 total. 2 of them were returned by nephews, which are not listed as a near relative. One was a fiance and one was a life partner.
One was a cousin.
A life partner.
Under current general statute,
That's not considered a near relative.
What does the law say about that?
It doesn't invalidate the return of the ballot.
Can you repeat that?
It does not invalidate the return of the ballot. It doesn't invalidate it. So even though it was not returned by a near relative or a legal guardian, it does not invalidate it.
And I'll add to that, the guidance from the state is that the board would take that into consideration when reviewing those ballots. The board could determine that by appearance of the ballot, they were properly marked by the voter, and the fact that it was returned by someone that's not a near relative does not automatically mean you cannot approve it.
Thank you.
I thought the law said that it had to be returned by a close relative.
So the general statutes do say that. However, the administrative code is where you'll find the reference to the board reviewing the person that returned it and taking that into consideration. And so the State Board of Elections has advised us that that does not automatically disqualify those ballots from being counted.
It's a board decision.
That's right.
So essentially, the state board is giving us some discretion to deviate from what the law says.
I'm not answering that.
Okay.
No comments.
So it's up to this board to approve or deny these.
It is.
It's a pleasure, board.
I'd like to examine the ballots, please.
Can you tell me who those people were? A life partner?
A life partner, 2 nephews.
Partner.
Sure. A life partner, 2 nephews, and a fiance.
A life partner, 2 nephews and a fiance.
Correct.
Is the ballots specified which ones are which?
What they did was they came in person, so we have an in-person law.
Okay.
Okay, so everything on here is acceptable. But as you can see right here, it indicates it was returned by the nephew.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Jan Kingston is now joining.
Thank you.
You've
Thank
been muted. To unmute yourself, press *6.
Thank you. So you can see right here, who it's returned by.
Just as a complete aside, I think it's interesting to note that Ms. Grant's voter ID number is 9,500, which means she's probably been registered to vote in Brunswick County for in excess of 25 to 50 years. We haven't used that numbering system in quite a while.
they return these, you ask them to fill out the piece of paper.
It's a requirement, yeah.
Does everybody return the ballot
In person, yeah.
in person, fill out one of those?
Yeah.
Is the audio out on the conference line?
Go ahead. Sarah,
So you can see right there.
for the benefit of our audience, can you give us some guesstimate, even if it's a wild guess, on what our length of time frame this evening is going to be?
Hours would be my guess. Several hours. No, I don't have a guesstimate. It would probably depend on how quickly we move to the portion where we start opening envelopes.
Okay. I just wanted to manage the audience's expectation that this is not going to be over in 5
Is the
minutes.
audio out on the conference line?
I don't think anybody thinks it's going to be over in 5 minutes. 300 ballots.
Some of our old meetings used to be.
I got it. Well done.
Sarah, you said this is in the administrative policy.
The administrative code, yes, allows the board to take into consideration who returned a ballot.
Okay.
That opportunity to review, what's the pleasure of the board?
Not sure. I make a motion that we accept the four, I'm sorry. I make a motion we accept the 4 ballots as presented by staff.
Motion, discussion. Discussion, not any discussion, everybody. So everybody in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Madam Rep.
The next group of ballots we have are 30 absentee ballots that have been, that we have received a cure certification from the voter. So these are voters that did not sign their envelope, did not have proper witness requirements. We mailed them a cure certification and they returned that certification to us.
They've all been cured,
They have,
30.
yes.
In accordance with which number minimum?
2020-19,
Original?
They signed the certificate.
Original or revised?
revised.
Further questions? Director? Pleasure, board.
I have a question before we vote, if I could. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is there a time frame you have to do this by? Like, you have 1 day to send, I know once you get a ballot that has not been, that something is wrong with it, that needs a cure, you have 1 day to send the certificate of authenticity.
Yeah.
Is this something we need to do tonight, time-wise?
Yes, it has to be done tonight. The statutes say that any ballots received need to be considered by the board at the board meeting, and any ballots considered at the board meeting need to be counted.
Okay. I just need a clarification.
Okay. Any other questions? Questions? Pleasure, board.
I know I'm going to be sounding like a broken record, however,
Is
the
now.
revised memo 2020-19, once again, as a result of the settlement for the Alliance suit, which has not been completed and verified and signed off by the judge, so therefore does not enforce a law.
So my understanding, if any of these come up, if any litigation that results in any of this, these ballots can be identified and pulled.
Yes, every ballot has a ballot ID number on it, so a civilian number that is tied to the voter. And we also just out of an abundance of caution, if we read any of these ballots tonight, they will be kept separate with a sticky note, and they'll be easy to identify in our bin of sealed ballots.
So you have a bin with 7,500, and you have a bin with 30, and you have a bin with 4.
We will have a bin, several bins with all ballots from tonight's meeting.
Okay.
They will all be rubber banded separately.
Okay.
So the first civilian box that we approve, it'll be kept together for audit purposes.
And that bin will be sealed at the end of this meeting?
Yes, with a security seal, 2 security seals on each side that have a number on them that will be recorded and signed off by the board.
Once these ballots are entered and sealed, we have no way of knowing who the voter was that cast that ballot.
The staff would be able to determine that because there's an identifying number on it, but that only comes, we would only do that if we needed to, because the voter was challenged, we needed to remove that vote, or unless otherwise directed.
In the interest of complete transparency to my fellow board members, the director and I had a conversation of about a half an hour or 45 minutes earlier today relative to the storage of ballots, and putting on my old professional auditor's hat. I think the plan that the director has is adequate to be able to allow us to comply with any changes for the law, as she told me, up until the day before the hearings. So,
Okay.
so
That being said, I think our job is to follow the directive that we've been given from the State Board of Elections. So I would make a motion that we accept those 30 ballots.
I got a motion, any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, by saying aye.
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 Can anyone hear the audio on the?
All opposed?
no,
Yes, please.
Okay, let the record show that motion passed 3-2. Madam Director.
So at this point, the ballots have been discussed. Adrienne, am I correct? We discussed all of the categories about?
Yes.
Thank you. I think we need to start the process of counting the ones that were approved. The civilian, the envelope was okay.
By about.
I muted them away.
Okay.
If you're calling in on the phone, if you could press *6 and mute yourself if you're not muted, or mute your phone.
It takes what to start to mute?
*6. I
Star
just muted
six.
everyone, so I think everybody's muted
If
now.
you're on the phone and you punch *6, we're hearing your conversation back there, but if you're *6, we won't hear your conversation. If you're not hearing this meeting, there may be something, a problem on your end, I guess. No, go ahead.
So at this point, I think we need to start opening these envelopes. And of course, some of these the board did need to actually review, so the duplications, the pending accepted, just to look and make sure that the requirements have been met. We can do that after we start this process of opening envelopes and removing the ballots from the envelopes so that we can get this process moving. Is that okay with the board?
That's fine. What kind of noise factor are we going to be dealing with?
It's pretty noisy. I mean, if the board's okay with it not being done in public view, we could take it into the room there, but it's noisy.
Can we hear
Yeah, you want to do one, Linda?
Is now exiting. That's only one.
That's only one.
Yeah.
It's a chugga kind of situation.
We can start trying. That ain't gonna work.
No, we did.
Okay, let's move on through this agenda and then we'll.
Okay, and
crank
we'll start
out.
that process? All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Linda.
Agenda number 5. Absentees. Retirement number 6.
2? I think we're going to
Okay. We're at item number 7.
2019.
Sorry. We're at item number 7.
Can I speak to that just 1 second? I have read and reread and read again all of these things.
Okay, you're addressing item number 7, discussion of ballot retention proposal submitted by Board Member Randy.
Yeah.
Okay, we're at item number 7. Go ahead.
And I think that Randy mentioned that Sarah has a good plan for retaining this. I think we need to follow the plan that the state has given Sarah for retaining the envelopes, because it's already been litigious. There are already suits filed. And personally, any suit that's filed, I would prefer it say the North Carolina State Board of Elections and not the Brunswick County Board of Elections. And if we follow the state guidelines, I think the suits are always going to say North Carolina State Board of Elections. So I think we need to follow the plan that we've always done as far as retaining ballots. Sarah says there's ballots. She says there's no problem being able to pull out anything that needs to be pulled out.
At this point, I would be more comfortable, or most comfortable, having that plan in writing so that we all know exactly what's going to transpire.
Do you have a problem with her writing it up and bringing it to the next meeting? And then we can vote on it then?
Very happy to have her do that. I know her plate is full. I don't want to add anything else to it, but.
Well, I got an email from her last night about 11 o'clock, so I think. I know she works all the time.
We here in Brunswick County are very blessed that we have an elections director and a staff
Jan,
that
is now
I will say are probably workaholics. I hate to tell you how many emails I've gotten from the director at 11 o'clock at night on a Saturday.
I'm not quite sure.
And unfortunately, at this time, she doesn't have a personal life. And I think anything we can do to help correct that situation is probably going to benefit her in the long run.
Do you have something that, I mean, could this be something you could put together between now and the next meeting?
Yes, I have a good staff that can help me with it.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'd be willing to work with you on that also, if that's acceptable to the rest of the staff.
Then can we defer this item to the next meeting?
That's fine, as long as at some point, I would like to see a written process that we know we're gonna follow, that as a board, we can ensure that that process is being followed as we go along. I think it's critical because of all the litigation that is going on and the suits, that we be in a position to easily, or relatively easy, manage
is now joining.
the ballots at some future point when and if the rules change. All right, you know, right now we've got rules that are based upon things that are not been approved by the legislature or the courts. And I think, in my humble personal opinion, that the state board right now is a partisan board in its entirety. And I believe the executive director, in my humble opinion, have allowed the political process to enter the voting systems of the state of North Carolina, and I don't believe the actions that they are taking are in the best interest of the public. I think we need to guard, to the best of our local ability, the voting privilege of all the citizens of Brunswick County. And that's my concern. I probably didn't say that very well, but, you know, while it may sound like I'm being contrary, my interest is ensuring that every vote counts and every legitimate vote counts, and those that are not legitimate, that take away the legitimacy of someone else's vote, are not counted. Now I will go off my soapbox.
So I make a motion, we defer item number 7 until the next meeting, at which time Sarah will present what they plan to do with storing ballots.
Got a motion on the floor. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. All opposed? Okay, I'm sorry, all opposed? No. Okay, let the record show the motion passed 4-1. With that, have we concluded all the agenda up to this point?
We have to discuss the resolution that we had started yesterday.
It's not on the agenda.
That was the item that I added.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even add, I'm sorry, I didn't make a note on my relation to the agenda. Yes, we're going to discuss, that item. Okay, go ahead.
He is now exiting.
Before we get into that, I shared with each of you a copy of a memo, and I apologize, and it's very, very, very small and hard to read. It was written by Caitlin Love and distributed at, I believe, 9:15 last evening. And as part of that memo, and this memo came out as being done by the board, who is right now a single party representation, in that Ms. Love, as general counsel of the state board, alleged, or not alleged, insinuated that any board and or director, I believe, and one of the reasons I've asked Mr. Batten to be here today is that they would face termination if the board proposed and accepted a resolution similar to what was done by Wake County. And if we refuse to comply with the directives of memo 2020-19 revised on the 22nd of September and memo 2020-25. Specifically, Wake County has notified by their resolution that they are not going to follow the guidelines presented by the memo 2020-25. I think it's important to note that the Wake County Board approved that resolution unanimously, all 5 members. And then in those, one of those 5 members, and I'm sorry, I don't know the gentleman's name, prior to being on the Wake Board, he was the elections law legal staff member for the Democratic Party in the state legislature. It's my understanding that he was the go-to individual when it came to North Carolina election law on the Democratic Party side. At this point, I think, in my humble opinion, that the state board and the executive director of the state board have exceeded their legal authority.
Thank you for your patience.
I'm so sorry. I had to charge the phone. I'm getting reports that people can't hear on the phone.
They've exceeded their legal authority because the directives in memo 19 revised on 9/22 and then memo 25 based on the settlement from the Alliance case, which has not been signed by the judge and filed, so it has no force in law at this point. If we are dedicated to our oath to follow the law of North Carolina, then there's no way that this board can approve adhering to memo 2025 or 2020-19 revised on the 22nd of September.
Why is the state board of elections a one-party board?
Because 2 Republicans resigned in protest.
Thank you.
That went on.
Thank you.
Apparently, according to the resignation letters from the 2 Republican members, the state attorney general's office and the legal staff of the state board were less than completely forthright with them. They did not disclose certain items that were critical to the decisions they made relative to the accepting the settlement from the Alliance lawsuit. That's why they resigned. The North Carolina State Republican Party has submitted 6 names to replace those individuals. As of yet, Governor Cooper has not acted on that. I would say that that's an act of defiance on the governor's part, in my personal opinion.
Well, I think we need to deal with issues and not our opinions. I thought yesterday we decided to wait and not do either one of the, your proposal or Sarah's until after this coming Friday, when we have more directive. I'm not even sure why we're discussing. I thought that was decided yesterday.
I thought we had deferred it until today's meeting.
I thought we deferred it until after October the 2nd, when there was a ruling.
I am not an attorney, but I'd be willing to put a $10 bill down and you're not gonna get a final ruling on Friday.
Well, but we can at least give it till Friday.
There's the lawsuit from the legislature to stop it. There's another lawsuit in federal court to stop it. I mean, we're not gonna see a resolution until sometime well into October. And at this point, I think if we continue on the directives from the state board of elections and their numbered memos, that we are going to wind up with a muddled mess on our hands because the rules are going to be changing. And what I'm trying to do is say that this board is going to follow the law as established and properly signed. And that was going to be our guidelines going forward.
Go ahead.
Let me just ask a question. Sarah, what is the official document that we should be following, number 2019 or whatever? What is it that we should be following now?
Andy, that's the question.
Well,
That's
that's-
the legal
Let me
question.
just get an answer.
Go ahead.
Let me get an answer.
According to the State Board of Elections, we should be following 2020-19. Brian, can you confirm that? Thank you.
That's what we should be following.
Yes.
That is the boilerplate law, as far as I'm concerned. This is what I'm hearing. Is that right?
I'm sorry?
That basically what you're saying, that's the that's the law right now. May
Yeah.
change 2 weeks from now, but that's
It
the
is,
law.
the problem is not the law. It is not a final decision. The decision has not been filed. Therefore, it is not the law.
Okay,
Until that decision.
That's the
that is
problem.
law.
but there's three things here. There's statute, and there's law or litigation, and there's policy. And we're following policy. Number of memos is policy. So we're following state board policy.
But only if they're issued legally.
Well, it's not my determination, or neither is the determination of this county attorney, I don't believe. Mr. Batten, would you weigh in on the legality of a board policy, a state board policy that might circumvent or legislation or statute, or, go ahead, sir.
Thank you for asking. Yes, that is something for the courts to decide. All I can say is per statute, it is the board, the state board of election that tells this board how it is to operate.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Okay. Go ahead.
So according to the State Board of Elections, who is the people that we're to follow, I make a motion that we don't do either one of those, that we operate under the motion that we have, at least until this coming Friday, and see where we are. We don't know what's going to happen, and it will give us time to muddle through this more and see if maybe there's some sort of resolution on Friday. It could happen. I mean, everybody knows, we've got an election on November the 3rd. Somebody's going to have to start making some decisions.
We got $7,300 to count tonight. We're going to start
Right.
counting here in about 2 minutes. I got a motion on the floor.
To defer both Sarah's memorandum and Randy's until at least after Friday and revisit it next week and see where we stand.
Our next scheduled meeting, as I understand it, is next Tuesday.
At 4 o'clock.
That's the meeting.
Be aware, and I already told Sarah this, I will be out of state next week, but I will be available
We're trying to listen
to
in on the phone.
join the meeting by
And we weren't
telephone
hearing
if necessary.
Okay, you won't be here for that meeting.
I will not.
25 minutes.
Okay, let's get this phone situation under control. We're conducting a meeting, and I'm not sure what you are not hearing. Is that, who was, that sounded like Gail. Gail Brown?
Gail's right there.
Gail's out there.
Okay, I'm sorry, it sounded kind of like you. Do you know?
I just muted whoever was talking.
Okay. I hope you can hear. If you can't, I'm sorry. Okay, we got a motion on the floor, and everybody understands the motion. We'll revisit this next week. Okay.
Maybe we'll know something else.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
Okay, let the record show the motion carried 3-2. Any further items on the agenda? Madam Director?
No.
Do we move into? Okay, let it fun begin. Thank you.
Yes.
I'll ask board members if you get no further than perhaps out on the sidewalk.
But we gotta look at some.
Maybe, I'm talking about, this is gonna be going on for hours, so you know, go to the bathroom or the sidewalk, smoke a cigarette or
Until then,
something.
do you want us to look at some?
Okay.
I'd like to thank Mr. Batten for coming today.
Oh, absolutely.
Since I had asked him to attend, and I'm sorry I had to go through changing your suit and tie.
Thank you, Brian.
It was muted.
I guess I can ask that.
Yes, I'm muted now. Now, the video. It's still running and it was recorded, so.
Oh, that is a nice one. That is.
The time was muted the entire meeting. And the people on the phone were unable to hear. The whole meeting. And when we tried to say something,
Turn around.
someone muted us.
Yes, possible. Well, I can tell you, we will have access to the full recording. That was a technical omission on my part, so the director, my apologies.
Yeah, we had people continuing comment, we didn't know what the problem was. We had to get on with this meeting, and it was just a constant.
I'm about to come.
Y'all telling us to here, we didn't know what it was. We got it now, we got it on the.
I was ready.
One of the questions that I couldn't hear and it might be on mute. And when I said that, someone muted me. So you knew, you heard,
I can assure you what's going on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
well, yeah, I was great. And then I could find it was very great. And I didn't send a letter. But hopefully, it will be done by.
I certainly do apologize. We got it all for you. Thank you. Thank you, sorry.
Got it.
All it does is scan, I can't.
My very large batch is 110 pounds now. I know.
Adrian went to get something. Yes, you can go ahead and just put them in the box, but we won't start carrying them down here until, and you can just line them up down the side.
Just observing what's happening.
To get attention.
Sarah?
I'm coming. We're actually out of the box that we think under the board teacher set out that the number of ballots not.
What are you doing in this contract?
How are we doing so far?
Maybe we should wait till there might be others that they have talked about.
Good? She's helping me. I need a mess. Yes, sir. That's your snack. That's your snack.
He's divorced. He's still.
Now, what's happening with the ones like
Yeah.